a bit chaotic. It was the first year that this event happened. And this was on the street adjacent, one of our restaurant locations, as John mentioned, in Biddeford. So they shut down the road and they had some music. They had food, trucks there, and they sold way more tickets than they expected. So people were in line sometimes for a half an hour for a beer, but everyone had like a smile on their face, and they were having a great time. So yeah, we're going to recommend a few changes for next year, but it was still just such a fun event that we were able to share with some of the other craft breweries nearby. And, the folks really enjoyed it. We ran out of a couple of beers. I had to go to the restaurant that's, to the Batson River Brewing and Distilling restaurant that's in the building, that I mentioned right there at the Oktoberfest. I had to steal a half barrel of Pilsner from them on a little, hand truck and wheel it up the ramp at a loading dock and out the street and down a sidewalk. So I was so winded by the time I finally got this beer back on draft at our jockey box at our table. It was well enjoyed. I got a cheer as I rolled in with a half barrel and put it in place.
Yeah, everyone's just so happy. I mean, everyone, says Christmas is the happiest holiday. I for my money, it's Oktoberfest. I mean, you can't beat it. Beer, pretzels, and that's pretty much all you need.
Bratwurst, sauerkraut.
There you go.
Well, you guys celebrated that this year. Let's go all the way back. How did Batson River Brewing begin?
So Batson River Brewing began in 2018, and it was the concept of Tim Harrington and Kevin Lord, our owners, and they wanted to open up a brewery and a distillery, and essentially it started as one tasting room. It's grown consequently to 4, but they basically wanted to make a little slice of Maine for everyone. Everyone that comes up to Maine just falls in love with this place. It's just naturally so beautiful. It's such an incredible place. It's an incredible community of people too, and so they started us up with just one tasting room and a very, very tiny brewery and distillery, a 3-barrel brewery, and 2 30-gallon stills that were, very, very, very small. You could pretty much put your arms around them. And so that's...
They are very huggable stills. Those stills are super huggable.
They're very huggable. Yeah, they're great. And they make great spirit, too. We started there, and then we have evolved since then to grow to 4 locations. We have a Portland location. We have Biddeford, which is in the basement of a refurbished monstrous mill building, which is actually a hotel and a whole bunch of apartments. And then we also have our original location, Kennebunk, and most recently Wells came online. And Dan was talking about it a little bit earlier. It was a former brewery that we came in and we took a look around and we realized the whole thing had to be redone from the ground up. And so our ownership was incredibly supportive and gave us the resources to redo everything. I mean, from the actual pipes to the floors to bringing in our own brew house, reorganizing the entire production floor to optimize workflow. There were a number of things that had to happen to get us to the point where we wanted to be, which is making world-class beer. And so that was the big physical challenge. And then the other challenge that we had was identifying the right brewer and team to bring in to lead our new facility. And I think after one conversation with Dan, it was pretty apparent. It was like, well, this is the guy to bring us in. And then basically, called a reference or two, and they were absolutely glowing. There was only one negative, which is, he's from Philly, so he has this, natural charisma. He says charisma, I say, borderline, I don't know.
I think you said jaded and snarky before.
Jaded and snarky is there, but all in good fun. So, no, it's been fantastic. He's taken over, and we brought in a great team right now. We have Joe, Owen, and Will as well on our team, and they are producing some fantastic beers. So we just started distribution in August with Nappy distribution, and so we are finally getting our beers out into the world because they're beers that we are truly proud of. We've subsequently won a few gold medals, one for Loon Call and one for Cryoscape and some international festivals, and we're winning some awards for our redesign as well. We have a tremendous designer on the team named Dave Smith from Green Duck Studios, and so he has been really making some outstanding label designs as well. And we just feel like we're in a fantastic position right now to enter the market and hopefully make a few waves.
Yeah, that was a nice part of the brand development. When I started shortly after, kind of getting settled, John said, well, what do you think about these labels that we have? And at this point, there weren't many brands being canned here at Batson River. But he said, what do you think of this? And they all had, there was a trend of like this woodcut design, which, the artwork itself was really, really well done. But as a beer label, it didn't work. So when he asked, I was like, these are garbage, John. These are really garbage labels. Like, this is going to do nothing for our brand. So we need to change this before we start, canning these new beers that we're developing. And I know a guy. So do you want me to call him? And he said, no, not yet. And then, I'm like, John, these labels are still bad. And he's like, not yet. And then he said, okay, call your guy. And that guy is, as he mentioned, Dave Smith from Green Duck Studios. And he and I worked together at a brewery a few years back. So knowing that he kind of started his own project, where he was, working with a lot of local breweries, I knew he was the guy to kind of help us, reestablish our brand identity. And then from there, get the artwork on the cans that we were really, really proud of. And, it wasn't an easy process. We went through many different iterations and trying to dial in, like, specifically the aesthetic that we wanted on the cans, which subsequently, works very well with the aesthetic of our tasting rooms. But, yeah, he really nailed it. He got a style that we're really proud of, and it's just the cans really, really stand out on the shelf. They're not neon, glow in the dark. They're a lot more refined than a lot of things you'll see on the shelf by other breweries. So that, it's nice to see something that's just a little bit more refined. We try to go, keep that trend from, the flavor of the beers through the packaging and also in the different restaurants that we have.
Yeah, and that's been the theme from day one with Batson River, is just anything that we do, we want to do at the highest possible quality. And that's just what we're striving to do all the time. So from the restaurants and the food to the spirits and now the beer and the labels and everything that we're doing, we're trying to do at the highest possible level. And, with lagers, it's, hey, if it takes that extra week, it's going to take that extra week. We need to make sure that the product quality is on point before we release anything. And so that's just kind of our philosophy.
Yeah, whenever I received your cans, I was honestly blown away with your labels because everything is so clean. And I was in the wine world for 14 years, and they actually remind me a little bit of some, the good actual labels for wine, because everything's so clean and so crisp, and you could tell exactly this is this beer, this is this beer, and it's from the front, it's absolutely beautiful. And I think you guys are kind of knocking it out of the park with these labels.
Oh, great, thanks.
Yeah, appreciate that. The Loon Call took one pass, and then so that was pretty easy. And then the Easternmost was 18.
Yeah.
So it's it kind of evens out as it goes. But some of them are just very naturally evolved, and then some of them you grind through to find the right look. But again, Dave has been fantastic in helping us get there, and it's been a whole team process. So it's fantastic to see them coming out the way they are.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you guys are doing fantastic with it. I think some people try to make it a little busier than it needs to be, which sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but you guys are very clean and crisp with what you guys got going on, and people are definitely, I imagine, taking notice up there.
Yeah, we hope so. We definitely hope so. It's our first foray into the distribution world, so we're having great success initially, but it's it's a very long road, and it's really exciting to be starting that process. I mean, we were out with some Nappy representatives last night, actually, and into some of the accounts, and they're just great guys, and it's been wonderful working with them. And the whole process is just really, really exciting where we are right now.
That's so good. Now, you guys touched on it earlier. Tell us about the Maine beer scene, because, obviously I'm here in Texas and I don't know exactly what's happening everywhere. How you mentioned that you guys are very rich when it does come to the beer scene. Kind of talk to us about what the Maine beer scene looks like.
Well, here in Maine, I'd say the majority of the breweries are very hop forward, which, we spoke before about how sometimes hop forward beers can be a way of hiding flaws, and that's really not the case here with, our friends and neighbors in the Maine brewing community. They're really doing excellent jobs. So the New England style IPAs are really true to form up here. There are some fantastic examples of them. And, some of those breweries are starting to make some lagers as well because, they're getting older. They also see the trend in the industry. So it's, it's becoming a more diverse offering in most breweries, which is really, really great. But then, we have a couple of places nearby, like Allagash, for instance, where, they just do their own thing. They've got these barrel-aged beers, a sour program. They have a cool ship. So they're brewing styles and using brewing techniques that really not many people in the United States are messing with at all, and doing really fantastic things. It's there are a lot of flavors out there in their portfolio that you're not going to find many other places in the States, and it's just great. So it's we do have a pretty nice mix. It is IPA heavy, but there are some cool sour programs going on, and there's the resurgence of a light lager as well. So it's really, really a great place to be. And there's just such an awesome sense of camaraderie amongst us all. We'll go to different trade events and, trade beers, throw them back. If we run out of a particular hop variety here, then I can call up any number of other local brewers and say, hey, do you have 11 pounds of this particular hop? And they're like, yeah, come on by and grab it. And, when our order comes in, we'll go back and bring them a 4-pack or 2 and replace the hops. And it's something that a lot of people can't wrap their minds around. My father said, so wait a minute, if you didn't loan that brewery that bag of hops, they couldn't make that beer. I'm like, yes. And he's like, and when people go to a grocery store or a beer store, they're looking at your beer or their beer, not usually both. And I said, yeah. And he's like, well, then why would you loan them the hops? And I was like, because that's just how we are. We're like the bonobos, we get along well. We help each other out, and we let the sales folk be the angry chimpanzees if they need to, and they can really do the cutthroat tactics. But yeah, as far as the brewers are, we're all in it together. We trade technique tips, ingredient tips. So it's really, really a cool community to be a part of, and just such phenomenal beers coming out of Maine.
It's really incredible to see. There is a genuine desire from all these breweries to see the other breweries succeed, and it's genuine. It's heartfelt. I have to shout out to the Maine Brewers Guild. They have come up and they have gotten everyone organized and got us all together, and there's just this wonderful kind of feeling. And the other thing that I think really helps is the fact that the Maine resident, the Mainer, is fiercely independent and fiercely loyal to local. I grew up in Massachusetts, and I don't see that same loyalty to what is local. It's almost like people in Maine are happy to buy an inferior product as long as it's local, and a superior product if it's not local. But what's amazing is that the beer is not an inferior product. But what it's allowed us to do is it's allowed all of these breweries to be supported and try a whole bunch of different things. So, hey, if you have an idea that you want to do something really hop forward and really unique and creative, you can find a market for that because there are so many Mainers out there that want to support something local. And it's just created this whole culture of breweries that are not afraid to do different things, and they find success. And then also it's just so many people supporting so many breweries. It's kind of crazy. Like if you did an economic study on this, it wouldn't make any sense. I don't think there's any underlying statistics that would show why this amount of people can support these amount of breweries. But it's happening, and it's pretty special to be just a part of that community.
believe me, I'm here in Texas and everything is Texas strong here. And, we support local more than anything else. And I love that about this place.